Blog Talk Radio.
Shalom to all listening. Your tuning in is very much appreciated. Thank you. My name is Yedidyah, and I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about the difference between love and lust today. It's a very crucial subject, so I'm going to try to make this as enjoyable as possible for y'all. Yeah. And rest in power to the ancestor Yedidyah, though. I'll be remiss if I ain't mention that. Yeah, lust can hit you like Tyson's hooks in the 90s. When it's said and done, you realize despair's not found in love that's true. Rushing into a situation is dangerous. It lacks the wisdom and patience that you need to choose the path of reason. The heart's deceitful and wicked. Above all else, have you thinking of wedding rings while you really fiend for her nails running across your back with tracks of your skin coming off from scratching. The real intrigue is the passion and thoughts of electric rendezvous. Enticed by the thoughts of making a tryst with the thunder between her thighs and the lightning within her lips. So your rash decisions result in a situational irony. Hearts are filled with dross cause they didn't go through refinery. Tainted a masterpiece, feeding food to physical lust, being stained by the fallacy of not seeking spiritual love. The realest love from above, you won't find that love in the streets, and whatever is sown in fields is exactly what's gonna be reaped. So love. Yeah, no love.
Yeah. It's Talk One's Talk. Talmadim. I just wanna get the knowledge, wonder how they got it. I see a different message in the pages and decided to get the understanding that the Father had prescribed them. I'm thinking that it's very concrete. Show us we will listen. Show us how we listen, yeah. We will listen. And listen to you. We will listen. That they took can't change. Context is a must. Any artist can paint, taint your vision, trust. Moving the picture around like an auction, getting bucks off your often, cause you rush from a lost sense of your customs and your ways to the most high is appalling, yeah, that's us. And here's the reason, the cause of it, the gist. Who exactly we pleasing, the Father or the race? He set apart, Talmudim wrote his word perfectly, but we often want to change according to our own belief. All we gotta do is read, dig a little deep, learn a little Ibrit. Glory to Abba, Eloheinu Aga. All praises to the Father for bringing our knowledge further indeed. I can't start from the beginning and read and make sure it's not preconceived, the man.
God, you are great, and you are worthy to be praised. We will praise you all our days. We are your students. Teach us your ways, word by word, page by page. In the Hebrew we say, Elohim, ata gadol ve'ata ra'ui leshevachim. Anu נשבח אותך כל ימינו, אנחנו התלמידים שלך, ללמד אותנו את האמת שלך, מילה אחר מילה, דף אחר דף.
Welcome to His Talk One's Talk, where our mission is and has been from the beginning to contextually read the scriptures from the understanding from the people that wrote it, letting go of preconceived notions and any doctrine that hasn't been consistent or doesn't line up. This show is without bias, with the goal to grow together as a family. The call-in number is 516-595-8238, and we are open to any questions or comments. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome to another section of His Taught One's Talk. And I guess we had a little extra mix in the mix. There was a guest that we had on the show yesterday. If anybody was able to catch it, let's put a little sample of his music in real quick. But guess we had an interview with him yesterday, and it's a really great guy. If you have a chance, go check it out. This is a rest show. It's a break from our normal scheduled program, and this gives us a chance to refresh on going through the scriptures contextually also. So, well, in general, it's going to be a continuation. A couple of things will be talked about. Continuation of what we was trying to talk about last week. Brother Mercy had said something about a king, and Yedidyah wanted some things he wanted to say off of that, but we was running short on time. I had a couple of things I wanted to say. I know it was like one of those pressed for time type of questions, so we wanted to reiterate on that. Also wanted to talk about Israel and how can we more so be prominent as far as how can we get our voice to be heard just as well as some of these other leaders and stuff that's out here that is being heard that doesn't really represent us, and they're actually prominent voices that a lot of people listen to. So what are some things that we can do? That I know that was a subject that we wanted to touch on. So without further ado, I'm going to have Shemai give his opening statement, and we're going to go on from there like that. You have the floor.
Shalom, shalom, Mishchacha, shalom, family. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I'm excited for this show. Why? Because it is a rest show. It's a show to where we can just freely discuss topics, and I hate to say like real life topics because the three of us, and I'm sure those of you that listen, hopefully believe that the Tanakh was, and is real life pertaining to its prophecy. So, but it is a breath of fresh air to get to just freely discuss things. So, I'm very interested to hear what these brothers, Achim, my brothers, Achim Shali, have to say on these matters that he just mentioned. And I just want to, I'll love to put my input on the things that they discuss, or we discuss collectively. That's all I have right now.
All right. Brother Yedidyah be in a second, so I'm going to just chop it up a little bit, give him a chance to get himself together. But I already let us know he'll be in 2 seconds. We're going to have him do his introduction. And then want to kind of give time for maybe a listener to, like Brother Mercy was one that brought up the actual question or the statement. So if he's not on right away, we might hold off and go to something else. And then, but if he is, then on later or whatever, we can actually maybe, retouch on it. But I do want him to be able to get his full statement out as far as Yedidyah. So, like he said, it's a rest show, and it's a time that we take some time away from studying for the actual the panel members, and for some people listening. Pretty sure y'all know. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on in life, and constantly try to study and dissect and make sure that we got this thing down, or trying to get it down to the best of his ability. Sometimes it can be tiring. But yes, I love rest shows also. It actually gives me a chance to just like free up some time in my mind because I got life too. But also these real life situations that we're going through. And I know the last couple of weeks has been contingent on Israel, if you want to be, let's keep it real, especially with this season 2. So that's where we're at. Not saying that this is all we would ever talk about on rest shows, but sometimes when we get to thinking about things that we want to talk about, it's the state that we're in and where we're going from here and what can better us. And since we had the mission and the vision a couple rest shows back where we was talking about, what's the vision, what are we trying to do and stuff like this, these steps are to take steps toward that. We had the brother talking about being nationalized and knowing the laws. So that was good. And so yesterday, there would have been it's a great tie-in to today because that was getting into the music and how that influences Israel and how we can start getting that implemented so where we can have more of us to listen to. And what I mean by Israel, it's a nationality thing, but as far as like, you're following, if you follow what the book says. So it's not like I'm excluding anybody. I don't want to say or make it seem that way to an extent. But some of the stuff might not pertain to everybody. Not saying I wouldn't want to hear music from anybody in the truth, but I was just saying, like, you might not, feel the need to be nationalized, okay? So for some people, this is not good enough to be an African-American or black. So we had, the one guy come in and have a whole bunch of information, and there might be some things like that. Or we might have stuff about business. If you have a business already, you might want to hear it or you might not. That's always understandable. So that's what I mean. Like some stuff might not be for everybody too. And I don't know, Shema, you ain't got anything to say on, what I'm saying?
No, I think it's very, like you said, it tied in really good. And I think for those that's listening right now as we wait on our on our brother, I think you should check out the show last night because, like he said, it was the things that was mentioned is very important in our lives because one of the biggest influences today for us is entertainment. You have your movies, you have your sports, but I think the biggest influence in a positive and a negative way is music. And if we are doing this walk, as the brother is saying, I think we have to take in, like I had mentioned yesterday, the type of music that we want to convey outwardly as I walk, because whatever we take in actually influences our outer walk. So, when dealing with better ways to operate against this government that is very wicked, in my opinion, I think that we have to start within. We got to start changing things up. Like he said, you don't necessarily have to nationalize. I strongly encourage it if you're able to, if you can, if you know anyone that has done it, at least get information on it and the reasons why. Or if you decide not to, just really learn the system, learn the laws of the land. I'm not talking about the codes and things like that. That's cool to learn as well, but the laws always supersede those codes. You have to keep that in mind. And I know hopefully the host is cool with me freely talking like this, but since he brought it up, I'm just mentioning it now. The law supersedes these things, so it's important to learn those. I know some of us won't even think to or want to, but I highly encourage it. So I hope I touched on what you just brought out. Let me know if I didn't or if it's something else I'm missing. But that's what I got for what you
No, you're good. I was basically saying, how these rap shows have been geared to last, and in this season, let's say, not there, has been towards basically leveling up. And you kind of touched on it. I'm just summarizing right now as far as what I was saying is, and that's why we're having some of these discussions the way they are. This doesn't mean that we're not open to any type of discussion, and any listener, whether or not you are listening live or listening back, that we will not touch on. So that's why we give out the emails and stuff like that, because if it's something coming up on the rest show, if it's something possibly contextually that we would bid over without springing something on us to make us do a due diligence study out of context to what we're trying to do, then it could easily be part of the rest show also. But we've been doing this for a while, and nobody really gives any opinions. So it's going to be what we talk about, our life, or what we might see going on in the world. That's how they're geared also. But I always want to put that information out, because sometimes you got new listeners that haven't listened, that don't know. That's how we kind of been operating for a while. Part of the groups, the His Taught Ones panelist group, not panelist group, talk show group, or even His Taught Ones regular Facebook group is another way that you can get a question through also. So there's many avenues. And I know I wanted to give him some time, but possibly we'll just kind of roll into a little bit.
Was his
okay.
Was his topic? I said I don't even know what that is. Was his topic the starting topic, or was it yours? Do you recall?
I kind of wanted at first at the beginning. I was thinking basically that he could start out the show where they basically had a question at the end of the show. To me, that's makes kind of, because it still was relevant to the last show. That's the way my mind was set up. But I don't want to super talk people's ear off, about what we're doing or whatever, this, that, and the other. But it's always good to put the information out while we have time too, because I really didn't want to jump too deep into anything, or even start it. Then, like I said, I wanted to give time for people to jump on. This is a rush show, so I guess it ain't really no rush. And this will be for people that's listening back more so they can know exactly what we're on. So, like, Shamar setting up some stuff, I want him to tell you a little bit about that. And we could take the time that we would have at the end of the show kind of spitting out some of the things and ways to contact us. We could spit it out early.
Okay.
Which is cool, too.
Might as well, right?
So, right. So, like we said, we got some things coming down the pipe to be a lot more organized, to be a lot more efficient in talking about, and be professional also. And Shamar's going to allow you, he's going to talk about a little bit about that. But personally, the way you can reach me on Facebook is Yosef Haorekdin. All right? It's YOSEFHAOREKADIYN. All right? I'm pretty sure you put Yosef High, you can start throwing some stuff on there close enough, it'll pop up. Got a military picture on there a long time ago. In the background is Yohei Bave. So that's that one. And actually, I'm going to let Shamar, introduce what he got going on. And then after he do that, I can give you my other one. Go ahead.
All right. So a few things came to mind when me and the brothers were speaking, and I kind of used the things that they were speaking on and I was implementing as well to kind of form a banner, so to speak, a go-to foundational avenue with everything that we're doing. So right now I'm currently working on a website for His Taught Ones. By next week, I will give it out completely because I want to make sure I got enough content on there, current content, so that it won't just be blank right now. but I'm working on the kinks. So next week, officially, it should be on, at least the beta stage. And by that, if you're not familiar with what beta means, it's just the beginning stage. It's a growing stage, and websites, after the beta stage, it'll be more official, like as far as the effects and all that thing concerning the websites. So it's just the beta stage that will be released next week. The purpose of it is this. I want to. So we've been speaking on community base, and when you think of a community, when you think of a city, when you think of a state, you normally have informational access within that community or state. You know, they might have a newspaper for that particular city that deals with all the things that's going on in that city and also going on outside of that city or state. So the purpose of creating this website is more so for us to have our own informational avenue, okay? I guess I could tell you the name of the website, because without knowing, if you don't know the name of it, then you kind of won't know where I'm going with it. But again, it won't be up until next week, so just remember that. So it's going to be called HTOTruthmedia.com. HTOTruthmedia.com. And HTO, of course, stands for His Taught Ones, okay? So the Truth Media has to deal with the information that we're going to be putting out it's still relating to how we operate within the scriptures. You know how you have a lot of people in Christianity and or in the truth, and it's a lot of doctrines, right? But the way that we do His Taught Ones is we go off of context, cultural and understanding and consistency, right? So it's kind of like leaving the window or leaving that part of coming up with your own subjective way of thinking or putting out information. Our objective is to be objective when we're putting out information. So that's why the Truth Media is attached to it. So I'm going to have a page to where it's more so a blog and newspaper. So we'll be talking about things dealing with what's going on in the world. So you might come on there, might be a post about the things that's happening with the hurricanes, you know, from a perspective of what we're seeing, not from a biased perspective. Then you might have blogs pertaining to His Taught Ones contextual study. So like if Yosef is speaking on something in his chapter, and or myself or Yedidyah, it's going to be a summary breakdown for those that might miss the show, and they could go right on HTLTruthMedia.com to see that. The media portion, that covers everything. Media covers newspapers. Media covers brands that you might be putting out in the future. Media also covers music. You know that myself, I do music, primarily singer, and branching off primarily. I don't even know the word to use for that. I forgot. Sorry. I do a little bit of hip hop as well. So just collecting music. So the media portion, you would have that on there. Also, social media. That's what media is too. So the social standpoint will be on the website as well, dealing with like the YouTube. You could go, everything that we are dealing with will be accessible on this platform. And I kind of, and if I'm talking too long, let me know. But I kind of wanted this to be our quote unquote avenue or our community based information avenue, you know. So that's the purpose of this. And also with it, like I said, it will be up and running, the beta portion next week. With it, you know, I have a new email. My email is Shama, SHAMA, at HTOTruthmedia.com. Yedidyah is Yedidyah at HTOTruthmedia.com. And I'll let Yosef let you all know his. Oh, Yedidyah just came on, so he could have let you know himself. I'm sorry. So that's basically it. I hope I didn't leave anything out. Yosef, I know we spoke on what we're trying to produce with this HTO Truth Media avenue. So if there's anything I missed out from our conversation, go ahead and let them know, because I hope I touched on everything. So yeah, that's all I got.
No, that was good. Like I said, we got some extra stuff we trying to do this year coming up, or I'm not gonna say like the fiscal year. I'm saying within a year. So I'm gonna let in Yedidyah so we can give an introduction and say whatever you would like to say for intro, basically. You live,
yes.
Yedidyah.
Shalom, everybody. Excuse me for my tardiness, but I'm here now. I don't know exactly what y'all was talking about. Last thing I heard was, you was talking about the website, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just here really for today's show. My main thing I wanted to do was I wanted to finish what we were talking about last episode that we didn't get to address with Brother Mercy. I would also like to do it with him on the show. That way
right.
he can, continue to articulate exactly what his question was, just in case we don't say or address it as he would like for us to address it. But if he does not come on, I could at least elaborate on the statement that I made. So that was my main thing that I wanted to do for the rest of it. And then I already see that y'all possibly is hitting the other thing me and O was talking about, me and Yosef, about, how do we get out there in the mainstream in order for the message to be heard by the masses rather than just being secluded, which secluded is cool. I've been secluded for a long time, so I'm not tripping off of it, but I just know that in order for us to make a bigger impact on the community that we're trying to reach, we need to try to be more so in the mainstream so we could heard a little bit more concerning the mission or vision that we're trying to put out and accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And the website, I'm assuming, is one of the avenues.
You say that again, Knock. What was the last thing you said? Oh, the website is one of the avenues.
The website is one of the avenues, yeah.
Definitely. It definitely is,
and
because
also,
it's going to, if you allow me, it's going to go out, because, it's going to be, what's the name, through Google, I believe, as well. So it's going to bring more traffic to what we're doing, in hopes that it'll bring more interested people on the things that we have in place, and also they're going to see how we operate. How we operate on this show, man. We do it from, like I said, from an objective standpoint. So the things is not going to be biased. That's the goal. The things is to bring people true and real information, and then also, like I said, for those that are just coming in, the truth media standpoint, media, music. We might have things in the future, brands that's coming out to support and help the movement and the community that we're trying to build, hopefully in the near future. So this is all going to play a part. But go ahead. I just wanted to add that we had other people just coming in. So.
Yeah, that and I did say I wanted to wait for to talk about, because y'all was having a dialect. So what I did say was that if he doesn't come in at first, then we could leave it for the end. I wanted it to be the forefront since it was rolling off of last week, but I do like to have the person that actually started a conversation in a conversation also, so we can go to the actual subject at hand, and then save y'all dialect when he comes in at this point. So basically, since we already started, that was one of the avenues as far as getting this more mainstream. But I'm just going to repeat a little bit just for those that came in and what me and Shamar was having a conversation about. Basically, we have a lot of leaders and music and stuff out there that is representing a certain culture, but we don't have too many things that is representing our true culture or what we are actually trying to reach back to be a part of and be as far as the Torah, the Tanakh, going through the book. This stuff right here is the steps we take to try to be like our ancestors, to embrace some sort of culture with meaning, a lifestyle, the lifestyle that we said that we're supposed to be in the Tanakh. And we don't have that many leaders, or if any at all, that represent what we truly stand for. So the music and everything like that, all that plays a factor in a representation. As you will, it might be just like a messenger for what we about, and how do we get people to start to, how do we get to a platform where people would actually listen to us? You know, because there's a lot of stuff going out there as far as, you know, doctors and problems and whatever you want to call it. And it's a turmoil between each other as far as people, you know, within Israel and all that. But we have no spokesman, no leader, no nothing. And it's a small remnant that's actually trying to be on something positive, even within people that call themselves Israel. So I guess it's starting to try to make a stand. So the remnant that is small now can at least expand a little bit. It'll always be smaller amount. But we're trying to extend our hands to see who else is like us and what else can they add to the table too. You know what I mean? We're really trying to connect as a true nation, and that's the goal. And that's why we want more people to hear, because it's essentially to connect to like-minded people, so we can actually be a separation from the system. I'm not talking about your job and stuff like that, but from the normality of what everybody is just looking at or looking towards. And it'll make a difference as far as the next generations to come, the children, you know. So that's what this has been molded into. I don't know if any of the panel members, I'm just kind of repeating what we kind of talked about earlier. So now that you're here, and anybody that's online is listening, if they have a question or a statement in regards to, or like, you know, saying some answers on ways that we could kind of get this thing popping, you know, press 1, the floors are open.
All right,
this is what this is about.
I did want to speak, and if anybody else want to chime in, press 1 like you said. But first I want to say that I like you saying that we don't have any spokesmen, because we talked about this before, and we talked about actually what a prophet is, and a prophet is also considered a spokesman for the Most High, or for whatever message is put out there. So I like the fact that you use that word spokesman. We don't have a spokesman, and really what a spokesman's job is to do is to relay the information to those who need to receive the information. They speak on behalf of somebody else, which we would be speaking on behalf of his taught ones, but more so his taught ones is a spokesman for Yah. And so that's, you know, you could have many spokes people at different levels, you know, but ultimately we are speaking for the Most High. And so we're drawing people to the Most High. That's our job. And also we're trying to draw us in and get close-knit so we can stand strong and stand for the message that we speak. And the more people that we have involved in that will make us that much more strong in standing on the message. And so that's kind of the goal, the objective that we would like to see fulfilled. And then secondly, I text Brother Mercy, and he's now here. So, shalom, Brother Mercy. Glad that you could be here. I don't know if you, what y'all want to do now that we have Brother Mercy here. I know we was waiting. We wanted to get at that first. So he's here. I just want to let y'all know that.
Yeah, that's cool. We could do that. We can, like I say, go in from the last conversation is still fresh, and then after the statements have been made or whatever, then we'll roll into what we was just talking about. Because I'm pretty sure he has some, Brother Mercy has some good ideas himself. So,
I mean, we can keep rolling, and then we could end it. You know what I'm saying? After we get done talking about this, since we already here, it makes no sense to go away from it then come back. I mean, we can continue this. I don't know how long, it's gonna end up being us being on this topic, but I'm not against us continuing in this and then getting to the other stuff, because, I mean, it kind of fall into the same lines if you really think about it. It's just a different area of it, but you can kind of I wouldn't say repeat it again, but just give a Brother Mercy an idea of what we're talking about right now, so he can, if he does have something to say, he could chime in. And then we can just go from there, going to the topic from last week.
I got you. Yeah, because I was about to say the topic from last week. I mean, it all kind of flows anyway. So, however much time that takes, I don't want to go to a rushing it at the end anyway, since it was something that was the continuation. I just want to continue, and then other things will flow out from there. We always confident the Most High gets to taking over. The Spirit of the Most High coming jumping up in here at times. We be like, oh, that was perfect. I'm glad you said that. So it's all going to work out, and I always know that it will, because it always does. And, okay, I'm going to repeat what was said, but it was something that Yedidyah said as far as, we're spokesman for Yah. And I don't want anybody to feel some kind of uncertainty about you being a spokesman for Yah. When you're trying to live this Torah the way the book tells you to live, you inevitably are a spokesman. Because at that time, you are basically saying, hey, this is what is supposed to be done. And you're like, oh, I don't, on the Shabbat, or I don't eat this certain thing. You are a spokesman at that time. People might ask you why you don't. And now you're like, because the word says not to, and whatever else comes to your head, you became a spokesman at that aspect. Say, this is what Yah said. It didn't have to be something he just told you also. So I don't want certain people that might hear it and think that, oh, man, I'm not, actually a mouthpiece like you see Moses being a mouthpiece, but yet and still, when you stand up for what you believe, I don't do the holidays because that was under another God, and I can't do that. You became a spokesman for Yah also. And also helping out with right rulings and judging and all that other stuff. When these people out here, putting too much on the people, and you said, no, the word says this, and this. You became a spokesman for the Most High, because the Most High said it first. All right? And so we don't go out of lines on what the book says and out of our boundary line. We see what's being done. We see what can be done. These are the guidelines. That's what puts you in that spokesman aspect. Everything else, you know what I'm saying, if we can't prove it, we can't really say that it, come from God unless it comes to pass. Now you like in that straight prophecy type of realm. Okay. That was just off of that, and then you notice I've been cutting out the because we talked about it. So like sometimes I'll be having that lapse in my brain to be like, okay, that was that, and going back, Brother Mercy, one of the subjects is how can we expose ourselves more to the public, standing for the message that we're standing for, and basically everything that we've been trying to accomplish. And you've been here listening to a lot of the stuff we're talking about, the kingdom conversations, and even the moving going to other lands, and actually doing all this other stuff. So all that aspect of what we stand for, what Yah stands for, and what I actually said is being his spokesman. We don't have a spokesman. How do we put a word for to more? I know social media is a good way, but it's got to be something bigger, because in actuality, I put a video up, it might get 38 views, and I'm talking about some real stuff, and then somebody else put a video up of some of the stupidest things you could probably ever see, and it'll get millions of views. And Israel, you'll see even people that call themselves Israel, what they tend to share sometimes is more so what the world is sharing anyway. It's not sharing. A lot of Israel, or people that say they're Israel, aren't even sharing the conscious stuff to pour back into Israel, to be totally honest. But they will get more views and have more friends, you know what I'm saying? So that would be, I think, a downfall to somewhat of the social media aspect of it. People are picking what they want to pick. But, and just basically, that's what was said, wrapped up previously. So you kind of got a mindset of that. And then I do want the question that y'all had. I do want y'all to just continue, because I had something I wanted to say on that also. But like I said, the way that I've even thought about it, constructed, is we kind of roll into. Okay.
Yeah. So Brother Mercy, if you want to speak on what was just said, you just go ahead and press 1. If not, I mean, we can go into the conversation that we had, and let somebody else want to speak on the topic at hand. All right, Brother Mercy's in the queue. Brother Mercy, you live.
Happy Sabbath, brothers. Happy Sabbath. I'm going to teach a lesson on the Sabbath day. That's what I'm going to teach a lesson on. I'm going to teach a lesson on the Sabbath day. That's what Brother Mercy's going to be a spokesman for, the Sabbath day. But anyway, to answer your question, now, first of all, I'm going to use Moses as my example. Moses, before Moses, Moses left Egypt first, Then he went back into Egypt to bring the people out, So what first got to happen, you got to first leave Egypt before you can leave anybody out of Egypt. That's number one. You can't stay in America talking about, I'm going to leave everybody out of Babylon. No. You got to go somewhere in order to take other people there. You can't be like, I'm going to take somebody somewhere that you ain't never been. So the thing is, what's missing is you looking for that Moses spokesman, but you don't want to do what Moses did. You know what I'm saying? That's just, we just got to deal with the facts. I mean, you don't want to do, I talk to people all the time, well, you want to leave Egypt? Yes, but I want to stay in Egypt. Okay, well, those two things can't be. If you want to stay in Egypt, cool. I'm going to leave Egypt first, then I'll come back and get you. Anyway, y'all catch that later. Anyway, but you got to understand the scriptures. I caught it right. You got to understand the scriptures. You can't just read it like it's a storybook. You can't just read like it's a storybook, like it's just, this is just a novel, just a fairy tale. You can't read it. A lot of people read the Bible like it's just a story, a cleverly made up story or something. But you got to do what those people did. So if you're looking for that spokesman, a lot of people look for somebody else to be that spokesman. Everybody looks for somebody else to be that spokesman. I'm going to say that. Say it again. Everybody looks for somebody else to be that spokesman. Even Moses. What did Moses say? Lord, isn't there somebody else you can use? I mean, even Moses, the spokesman of the spokesman. He thought, well, can't you use somebody else? Now, that was his attitude. Now, if that's his attitude, what do you think everybody else's attitude was? And the Most High said Moses is the most faithful in my house. Let's say it again. Moses is the most faithful in all of my house, and he don't want to do what I tell him to do. So, what do? Well, we back to square one again. We can't expect different results doing the same thing. That's called insanity. We got to try something different, brothers. So, in other words, we might have to get a plane ticket. I'm just telling you what it is. Now, I mean, or you might just have to start a business like I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a 5-year plan. Start a business, a very profitable business, so I can live somewhere else. Then after I live with somebody else, I can set my own rules. Because in my daddy's house, I had to do what my daddy told me to do, as Yedidyah so eloquently stated. The parent example is a great example. I can't start my own house inside my daddy's house. I have to kind of venture out in order to have my own house. That's what I was told when I was a kid. I had to follow his rules until I got of age, till I could pay the mortgage. Now my brother Mercy's paying the mortgage, and I got another boss I got to listen to. So I don't need to take too much time. But now that I'm paying the mortgage, I got someone else I got to listen to. So that I got to see on Monday morning. But I just wanted to say, we got to, in order for us to keep the Sabbath, to get our day of rest, in order for us to get our day of rest, which the children of Israel, they didn't work for nobody. Just let you know, they didn't have employees when they was out in the wilderness. They didn't work any of the days. They had every day off. And they would just collect the manna every day. That was their work. But in order to get to that point, we got to leave Egypt. So that's all I got to say. We got to leave Egypt in order to get to that spokesman place. That's what I'm saying.
Any thoughts on that, y'all?
It was a very interesting take. I understand what he's saying. I thought of it a little differently, though. As far as leaving, now, don't get it twisted. I mean, going to Israel is in the plans. And do I mind leaving out of this country? Not at all. It'd be a great thing to live away from this country from what I can see. But I would go visit first, of course. But first off, I think it takes for us to leave somewhere mentally and start to get yourself together mentally. What I don't feel like it's a one-person thing. I feel like it's a group. And a group that's mentally separated from the masses' way of thinking. Because Egypt, you know, since this isn't the physical land, and we talk about a spiritual thing also, we got to think of also your mind mentality where you at before you feel like you could be a spokesman or whatever the case may be. But, the Most High did tell him to go and then come back and go get his people as far as the Moses story. But who knows how this next story has got to play out until we come across it and it's read. All right? And we haven't got there in the context, so I don't want to jump and make this about the biblical thing that's supposed to happen at this point. I do want to kind of save that for when we get there, and we'll be there very shortly. But I think it's an awakening first. Personal, this is my personal belief. All right? I don't stand for anybody else's saying. But I feel like it's an awakening first, and we awaken in this area that we come from. I got that from, and when he said, and then when you decide to do the laws out of all the places I've scattered you. So you have to have some people that scattered start to do some awakening, and you start to lead and listen to what the Most High is saying in that aspect. Now, if the Most High tells me to go somewhere, I'm gone, of course, because we have to be obedient. But at this point, we can't make moves without being told when to move, because then you might make a move before your time and put yourself in a worse situation than you would have ever been in. Because not that you were disobedient, you just wasn't patient enough to be obedient. That's just like starting a war or something, and you don't even have but one clip for your weapon. Are you crazy? So, yes, as much as I love to lead and then be like, oh, let me go lead, I'm not, I have to play that thing out a lot smarter. So in between and in the meantime, it is something that we can do to try to get to a mass of people while we're here. It's not going to give us into full, what's it called, salvation. But like we said, we can start doing some things now, because let's keep it real. He not going to put a group of people into a land that he called holy that's unholy. Why would you do it again? So he's going to make sure y'all get purged, people get purged, for him to drop you back into the land that he swore to give our forefathers. So that's my opinion. I don't know how any of the other brothers do think that way or not.
Yeah, I was listening to you, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Like, far as one, like the first thing you said, where I was at was where you said, just waiting to get through all of the context to see, because Israel have been in captivity like multiple times in the scriptures, and every time they came out wasn't the same way. So just with that, I would say that we don't know how we're supposed to come out, because just because Moses brought them out a certain way, you know what I mean, don't mean it's going to be specifically a Moses to do the same thing. And then when you really go into context, Moses didn't just up and leave. Moses fled because his life was on the line. You know what I'm saying? He killed somebody, and then he took off. So really, Moshe was a fugitive, if you look at it like that. So unless one of us, or Brother Mercy, if you volunteering, if you want to kill like one of the CIA agents and flee the country and then come back and get us up out of here, hey. Hey, let's go, brother. Go ahead and do that. If you need encouragement, I'm joking right now. Hey, I had to laugh as hard as you do on that one, Brother Mercy.
I'm done. I'm putting my phone.
Hey, nah, man, it's hey, man. But on a serious note, that's the context of Moses' life. You know what I'm saying? So if we speaking on like that, we gotta capture the whole context. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gonna have to knock off a CIA agent or somebody close to the king, within who's ruling or whatever. One of the congressmen or something, you're gonna have to knock them off and then flee the country, because they finna put you up under the federal prison and give you that needle treatment, and then come back after years after they done forgot the crime or something like that, and come back looking a little bit different and be like, hey, and they be like, oh, I remember you the one knocked off the CIA agent. Like, yeah, the Most High has, and then don't forget that the Most High got to visit you, you know what I'm saying, while you gone, and say, hey, go get my people. So we can't skip our let either. It can't be, it wasn't really planned, is what I'm saying. It wasn't like somebody was like Moshe was like, yeah, I'm finna kill somebody, I'm going to leave, chill out for a little bit, then come back. That wasn't even his intentions. As Brother Mercy said, he was like, when the Most High came to him and said, you finna go get my people, he was like, can you get somebody else? So it wasn't even in his mind to do this. So I think it just had to happen naturally. It can't be something that, and that if we going off the Moses situation, it has to be like naturally. And we're actually trying to, I mean, it could be the Most High leading us into this. I'm not saying that. It's just naturally happening, but things got to flow. The Most High got to be with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's my stance on it. But we got Brother Mercy back in the queue. Brother Shemai, if you have anything to say, you know what I'm saying, we want to allow you to say that first before we let Brother Mercy back in.
I always say it's variables to everything. And I think that the route that's being spoken of is definitely one of them. But there's also ways, I know he spoke on the business aspect, even in the way that we are, or most people are familiar with from a business standpoint, you're still under Pappy's rulership, in a sense. But going back to what yourself and myself were speaking of earlier, that nationalizing part is definitely a way out of that. But it's not just that simple either, as me saying it right now. It's steps. It's understanding that needs to take place, just like with this word, study that needs to take place, and then application. So by me just saying that, I know it can fuel a conversation right now as to, okay, how can you do that? Well, I will have to go through like A through Z, and I'm still learning myself. But it's ways around that. And then from there, I can see myself doing what Brother Mercy is speaking of. Yeah, that's all I got to add.
Okay. I guess open up Brother Mercy's mic. All right, Brother
You
Mercy.
live, Brother Mercy.
You live.
Yes, brothers. Let me say this first of all. I'm laughing with you, brothers, because Yedidyah hit it on head on straight. And that's true. And that's a lot of times how it happens. A lot of times we're looking for this perfect plan, but a lot of times we screw up and then the Most High uses us. That's how it works a lot of times. But, I didn't want to tell that side of the story. But what's going to happen is somebody going to mess up. Go get tired of the system in place, and the Most High might decide to use them. But let me say this. Regarding to the IRS tax exemption, whatever that is, plan, there's still a grace or a privilege that's given to you from the IRS. So I just wanted to say that's still a permission from Daddy, so to speak. And no matter where you go, the U.S. currency is really a world currency now. So, and a lot of currencies are judged based on the U.S. currency. So I don't want to send the idea that you're gonna totally get away from Daddy, but but because see, you gotta understand, most currencies are run by the only way you get away from Daddy is not use currency at all. Now you could do that, and that's what Abraham did. And that's what people don't say about Abraham. Abraham didn't use any currency. He had gold, he had animals, he had assets. And so what you do is, and that goes back onto the bartering system. Now, if you use the bartering system, you can overthrow the currency system because the currency is used to buy assets. So the most valuable commodity is not the currency, but the asset, the actual asset that you own. So, and some assets can't be bought with currency. I just wanted to say that. Because I think there's a scripture in the Old Testament that said this land must be purchased with blood. I think the Most High said that one time to one of his prophets. I think it was Jeremiah. This land must be purchased by blood. So sometimes you can't get certain things without there being a sacrifice. So I just wanted to say that, throw that out there. But yeah, brothers, you're absolutely correct. In the story of Moses screwed up, and Most High decided to use him. And a lot of times what happens with Brother Mercy screws up. And the Most High decides to use Brother Mercy. That's usually how it works. But, but I hate to tell that side of the story because it makes me cry sometimes. Because then it makes you think
true,
about how...
Brother Mercy. We cannot hold back the truth. You know what I'm saying? The truth is Moses killed somebody that he ain't had no business killing, but maybe it was a crime of passion though. He seen his people being done wrong. Now, Scripture don't tell us that he knew that was his people or anything like that, but people speculate that he knew them was his people. But at the same time, even if he didn't know it was his people, he knew it was wrong how they was being treated. So that's what we can say is factual. He knew what was going on was wrong, and it was a crime of passion that he said, you know what, I can't sit here and look at this no longer. And he killed one of the people that was in authority, and he had to flee. So, if we use that scenario, what I'm saying is we use the Moses scenario, this is how it would look in a modern time. We see that law enforcement is treating our people bad, and just like the dude in Dallas, he said he wasn't going to stand for it. I know some people might not agree with what he did or whatever. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree. It happened, okay? So I'm using the example. He, in Dallas, he geared up and started killing some police. Thing is, he got, killed in the midst of it. But let's say he successfully knocked off those officers and fled, and then get caught. Went to another country. The Most High came to him and was like, "Go get the rest of my people." And then he came back. That would be the Moses scenario. So just up and leaving and going somewhere, like, I don't really see that equating to what Moses did. So I wouldn't use that example is what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to knock you on what you said. I'm taking in what you said, but I'm just trying to keep it 100, and keep it contextual, and that's what we do. So that wouldn't be exactly the same scenario if somebody just upped and leave and go somewhere else and then come back, because, that ain't how it really, really went down. So,
and I agree with you, Yedidyah. I just want to say that for the record.
Well, I'm glad you do, brother. That means you agreeing to the truth, because that's what happened. So, Brother Mercy, if you're going to volunteer, we'll be waiting on you in about 40 years.
Oh,
But nah.
But you're right. And I just want to say
we like to have fun too,
Yeah.
So I'm just joking, Sometimes I got a little comedian in me, ain't the only funny dude on the show. For the record.
Now, and one more thing I want to say too, for the record, is that am I saying just get up and go and leave? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying make a plan, save up some bread. You might need some manna for the trip. I'm not speaking literally.
But my question would be, why are they leaving though? That's my question.
Oh,
why
you
are
only
they leaving
leave
to go somewhere?
Now, see,
like one person.
Why
is one person leaving to go somewhere? And where are they going?
Okay. Remember
I'm
with
very
Abraham.
strategic, so, because I'm military
know.
so
I'll use Abraham.
I got to know all this stuff. I need an eye for it.
I'll use Abraham. Abraham's a better example than Moses. Okay. I'll use Abraham. Okay. Abraham, God told Abraham to leave his country and go to a place
Okay, let's stop right there. Let's get the context. All right, so Brother Mercy just said God told Abraham. So first of all, the first thing you said got to happen to whoever else that we saying gonna leave. So, but keep going. I'm just gonna highlight some context as you're talking.
Y'all crazy.
Go ahead, Brother Mercy.
Y'all know what I want to say, right?
Because Abraham, it didn't say Brother Mercy said. Abraham, leave. unless the Most High using you as a mouthpiece.
All right, well, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, I was going to say that God told Abraham to go to a place that I will show you. That's the words he said. Okay. He didn't give a particular destination. And so when the Most High speaks to you, he might not say go to Japan. He might say go to a place that I will show you. That's what he told Abraham. Although I know why he said that, and I know that Abraham knew where to go, even though the Most High didn't specify the place for him to go, I know where Abraham was going. A lot of people don't, though. But I just wanted to say that the Most High told Abraham, go by the Most High's words, go to a place that I will show you. So no destination was specified in his words. He just told to go to a place. Those place was named. So I just wanted to start there, first of all. So Abraham was going to a place that was unnamed by the Most High. I'll just say that.
Did Abraham take some people with him?
Yeah, of course. He took his family, his wife, he took his animals, all his assets that he had, and he went. The Most High told him to go to a place. Now, some Christians say, and I'm using the word Christian because a lot of Christians that don't study Torah, they say Abraham didn't know where he's going. I doubt that very seriously because I can prove to you that he knew where he was going. But the Most High didn't specify. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, Yedidyah, to answer your question, he might tell you to go and might not specify where your destination is at. But you're going to know where that place is at, though, if he tell you to go.
Okay. All right. Well, the thing is, I guess one of us or somebody else is going to be waiting for the Most High to tell them to leave before they just up and leave, is my point. With the scenario of Abraham. So, Brother Mercy, have you heard anything lately?
Oh, well, I will say this. There's a reason why I'm planning to do what I'm planning to do. Because I do, as you already heard, as you so eloquently heard, I said I was going to, at the end of maybe 5 to 10 years, and of course it's a long-term plan because even in Abraham's case, Abraham did not immediately just get up and go. Abraham waited, I think it was like 75 or something like that. Abraham left when he was like 75. And Moses left to go get his people out of Egypt when he was 80. So they were up in age. I'm 40, so I got a little bit of time. So I'll say this.
I don't know if you're going to be in shape like Abraham, though.
Hey, the Most High might let me live. He might let me live.
At 75, he might. He might.
He might. So
can't say what the Most High won't do. I'm just saying based off of, back then versus now, like we got a whole bunch of health issues and all this stuff like that, but, we don't know what the Most High going to do. You are totally right, and I'm just joking anyway. But, yeah, so Mercy at 75, okay. And we got Sister Hawkmine in the queue.
All right, I get off.
No, you ain't got to get off, Mercy. Ain't nobody tell you to get off, man. I hope I'm not discouraging what you said. I'm just messing around. I'm sorry about that. I really do want to hear what you're saying. But I'm just making sure that we go ahead. Oh,
let me tell you this though. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that's the only way that it has to happen. I'm not saying that that's you wouldn't be a catalyst or anything like that. What I am going to say is that I understand where you're coming from, and not as far as have to, but more so as a want to. It's in my mind, as far as leaving the country and stuff like that. That's a personal goal with them myself. And see how that work out, because that could be a place of residence. If I like it, that'd be where I would love to live somewhere else. I've been here in America, living like this for a long time. But I can't say and will not say, hey, the Most High just woke me up and told me to go. I'm not gonna say that. But as far as something that I want to do, yeah, that's a goal of mine also. So I can agree with the want to and all that extra. But that's all I was gonna say on that.
Yeah, I can agree with it too. The thing that I'm joking about, but there's some seriousness behind it. It's just that, like, when we start comparing what we trying to do to, biblical accounts, we got to make sure they line up exactly. We can't say that we doing it like this person doing it, and it didn't happen exactly like that. I mean, and then what I want us to really steer away from is, like, we are who we are in the Most High. Our story is not going to be exactly like every biblical character. And a lot of people, what I find, especially in congregations, they try to compare, like they use the story in the book to try to compare it to somebody else's life all the time. When I was going to church, that's what it was. Like, oh, God told Abraham that if the people that bless you, I would bless them, and then now you feel like, oh, if you bless somebody, or if somebody bless you, he gonna bless you, and then now it's manipulated to where, because we're God's people, because I feel like I'm God's people, or the church is God's people. If you bless the church, you're going to get a blessing. Or if you bless the pastor, you're going to get a blessing. And that's how it works. You're not Abraham. That wasn't for you. Quit trying to use other people's stuff and put it on you. What did the Most High personally say to you? That's what we got to start getting at. And that's where I'm getting at with this, in a joking manner. But now I'm bringing the serious side out of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, how everybody use the cliche, what God has for you is for you, but I guess that don't count when it's talking about Abraham, because what God had for Abraham, I guess that was for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And what God had for Job is for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, Job had his situation. That was Job's situation. Now, we could use that as a learning experience, but just because you get plagued with something don't mean the Most High said, told Satan, have you tried Brother Mercy lately? Or have you tried, who was that had got sick? He was a big time pastor, and he ended up dying. And he was accused of molesting little boys. He was out of Atlanta.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. That don't mean, because he got plagued, a lot of people would say, oh, that's the Most High, he allowed Satan to, Eddie Long. He was, and then he going to recover. He even said it. He prophesied. This was just this. I'm going to recover. And died the next week.
Hey, Yedidyah.
Yes.
Yedidyah.
Yes.
I wanted to say, though, like going back to your early example about the police shooting us down in the streets. Okay. I tried to explain this.
We got to let Sister Hawkman in, so please keep it short. I don't want her to.
I'm going to keep it real short. What I tried to explain to my brothers is that England, the country we come from, our founding fathers, the founding fathers came from, their policemen are not allowed to carry guns. I tried to explain this to the people and explain to our Hebrew brothers. So what I'm trying to say is that in their homeland, the police are not allowed to carry guns. So why are the children allowing the police to carry guns is my question. So why would I go somewhere else? Because in every country, police are not allowed to carry guns. If it wasn't for the police carrying guns, I wouldn't be scared. I'm not scared of the CIA. That's settled. I'm at the local level.
Right.
You know,
that's a good point.
That too. It's branches of government. I have no problem with the federal. The problem is the local government. The average Joe Blow who can join the police force with no education. There are a lot of white persons join the police force, and then CIA might have certain requirements to join that certain force. Any federal job, they're gonna have some type of requirements. So I just wanted to say that our problem a lot of times is not at the federal level; it's at the local level. So we got to battle it out the right way. And so at the local level, like I've been to countries, man, police don't even mess with citizens. They don't even mess with them. So that's why I say what I say. It's at the local level. It ain't at the federal level. So I just wanted to say that. And you can let this comment in. I'm sorry.
Nah, that's good. Good point. I'm glad you said that. I'm going to take you out the queue. Sister Hokma, you're live.
Shalom. I just had a question for Brother Mercy to see if I understood where he was going in the beginning of his spiel. Was he stating that we can't keep the Sabbath? So, like, should I be at work today because we can't keep the Sabbath in our land? Or was he just trying to make a different point? So that was just my question.
All right. Brother, you live.
Yeah, I wanted to say there's a certain thing called keeping the Sabbath day, what I call, this is my cliche, keeping the Sabbath day perfectly. Now, see, like Yedidyah so eloquently stated, you got to give people this stuff and let them keep it. And one thing is the Israel, when they kept the Sabbath, they was out in the wilderness. They didn't have a job, okay? So we can't skip over that fact. They was out in the wilderness. They didn't have a job, getting a paycheck. So they were able to keep the Sabbath. And see, that's the whole thing. What I'm trying to say is, the Most High didn't tell the children to keep my Sabbath while they was in Egypt. He didn't tell them that. He waited till he got them out of Egypt so he could be their only boss. So then he can actually give them a day off because only your boss can give you a day off. A lot of Christians don't understand that. Only your boss can give you a day off. Okay? So if the Most High ain't your, well, if you got more than one boss, I'll say it a nice way. If you got more than one boss, like a lot of us do, and so you got a permission from both bosses to have a day off. But understand, the children of Israel, when they kept Sabbath, when they truly kept it, they was out in the wilderness, they wasn't getting the paycheck working for somebody else. That's the point I was trying to make. So that's another reason why I want to leave Egypt. I want to keep the Sabbath perfectly. Like the priests did. The priests didn't work on any day. They had every day off. And they worked during the Sabbath sometimes, working inside the temple. They were allowed to by the Most High. But I just wanted to say, sometimes you got to have every day off to get a day off. So that's all I want to say.
All right, Sister Hokma, did you have anything in response to what Brother Mercy said? Did he answer your question?
I'm sitting here blinking my eyes probably a million miles an hour right now.
Miss Joelstein. Joelstein.
No, I'm not Joel Osteen. But yes, like Joel Osteen. I have to I don't talk a lot anymore, as y'all notice, because for a reason. So I'm just going to let that marinate for a minute. I am going to have something to say, but I'll have to be careful. So I'll be back.
All right.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is I'll take both y'all out the queue. Oh, well, I think he's doing it. You doing it, Debbie? I don't want to double press it.
Yeah.
Right, I'm doing it on my end anyway. Okay. So, this is just to let us know when you want to get back into the queue also. All right. And so that's the question. Boom, boom, boom. I'll get back on schedule. So, all right, we heard Brother Mercy, talk about what needs to be done, because that's the last place we was at as far as Brother Mercy saying, about leaving, and we kind of did comments off of that. since I don't really agree, 100% with that's what has to be done, I'm just going to give maybe a suggestion, and I'll see what the other panel members think, and everybody else that's listening. This is, personally, they don't know what I'm about to suggest or anything. So that's why I'm going to go with that. So what about things like, okay, so we got to kind of use the social media because that's the only way to kind of get out what we want to say on a mass platform that can touch many states is the most amazing thing that could be done, because at one point, we had to be door-to-door people. So now that we don't have to be door-to-door, but we can get out a certain message, on social media, how do we get the attention to at least have some people listen to what we are saying and how we are presenting it to actually help each other? That's because that's the biggest thing. It's like being a spokesman, but, the spokesman and what he was saying is conveyed to a nation. So we have to try to be able to get this message to this nation some way, somehow. So my suggestions, I guess, is we have to be more attentive to what messages we are putting out. And so it don't get lost in a whole bunch of messages. Like I'll say, be more conscious of who you are promoting, because you can add to the arsenal of what they are already going against if they start to follow this person and not follow you just because you put out the person. Not saying don't put out the person, but you might want to make it adamant that you say, I don't agree with everything he said, like if you share a post, but I do agree with this. Therefore, if they do look towards you, they won't link you to that if you're going to do somebody that doesn't really stand for what you stand for. But they, being more a part of the social media and promoting your brothers and what they're doing and saying. And also to be a spokesman, you have to speak. And can't just, they ask you something about your culture, or, you trying to put out some information, or a bunch of information and we don't put it out there. That's not a spokesman. That's a quiet man, period. And nothing wrong with being quiet, but you can't take a stance. I'm a spokesman, but I just don't say nothing. You're not a spokesman. So that's one suggestion I had. I don't know if you had anything along those lines, or if you agree or not. And if you want me to kind of sum it up a little bit.
What you're saying make perfect sense. And that is what a spokesman is. I mean, a spokesman, we see that, we see the word right there, the word play, spoke. Did you speak, man? Nah. Yeah, but if you're being quiet, you're not speaking. You did not speak, so you're not a spokesman. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. There's different forms of speaking. As you said, social media. You don't have to technically speak, but you have to convey the message, because everybody, don't even have the ability to speak. We have people that can't speak, so they find different ways to communicate. They got sign language. That's just using, kind of paint a more vivid picture of that speaking don't have to be verbal, but you have to find some way to convey the message or contribute to conveying the message. We got different ways, people, Martin Luther King, they marched or whatever, and they had a lot of what I noticed back then during that time, you know, they had a bunch of organizational communication. They actually went out and did something, and that's what we got to have too. We got to have forums in some sort of fashion, whether they be online or you know, they used to gather together because they was in the same area, but now we have the means of, you know, getting together, being in different locations as well, and you know, talking about these things. That's what these shows is about. And that leader, Martin Luther King, just using him an example, you know, he spoke at those events. There was some other brothers that he spoke with, you know, in a more secluded forum. They spoke, and, you know, he was just more so the spokesman for the people. He the one that, you know, and that person would get the most attention. But it's other people involved as well, is what I'm saying. There were other people that was on the staff. Martin Luther King was just the face of the people that spoke. And you got a lot of other people as well. You know what I'm saying? And so in those organizations, it was more than just Martin Luther King that was doing stuff, you know. But we look at that. We have those examples. Not saying that any of us is going to be Martin Luther King, but just reaching towards, you know, a little bit closer.
Hey. I have a dream, too. Just playing.
All right,
go ahead.
Yeah, we all got a dream, you know. So, but your dream might not be what Martin Luther King's dream was. But we have to also, my biggest thing is look, this is just my suggestion, we have to look at the situation. We got to do a sit rep, you know, a situational report. You know, what's going on in our day and time. We got to analyze these things. And if we're going to strategically do what we do, we have to analyze the situation and what's going on. Then, you know what I'm saying, we go from there. So first step, I believe, is just analyzing the situation. And like I say, when we use other people's situation, our situation is not the situation of Abraham. It's not the exact situation of the time of Moshe. You know, it's not even, if you want to even go to the time, it's not the situation of what you would read in the New Testament. It's not the situation even as close as Martin Luther King. And even going back, Harriet Tubman, it ain't that. You know what I'm saying? So each generation is different. You know what I'm saying? Like, the goal, the end state was some type of freedom or whatever, but ultimately it's not the same situation. So we have to, like, I believe, and this is one of the biggest things I always had a problem with a lot of belief system that really come off of Christianity, is that, well, not more so Christianity, because I think Christianity more so, biggest thing was like just trying to take the blessings or take the words from the Bible and apply it to them, which, you know, ain't such a big problem, but sometimes it can be. But the biggest thing with just Christendom that we know, like I would say the non-Torah-based Christian organization, is more so that the good thing about them is that they believe that they can hear from God, and God is a right now God, and you know what I'm saying, like God can talk to them. That's the good thing, because you know a lot of times we bash Christians or whatever, but they do have some good attributes, some aspects and beliefs. Now, when you go to the more Torah-based Hebrew Israelite, for lack of a better term, I don't want to group them all together, but I'll just use that, just how we say Christians, because you got different type of Christians as well. So, and a lot of people, when they hear you say something about Christian, they'll hang up, as we witnessed yesterday. But when I say Christian, I'm just using it as a general term, just like if somebody say Hebrew Israelite, because all Hebrew Israelites are not the same, you know. But anyway, with the Hebrew Israelite community, Christian community, they believe the book closed, God ain't talking no more, everything you need to know is in the book, so on and so forth. That is, I think, detrimental to our walk, because if you think God ain't talking, then that means you're going to have to use what's in the book to use as or apply to your current situation. And you might not find nothing in that book that apply to what's going on right now. So then what you do? You know, you sit here and you wait. And that's what I see a lot of people doing. And a lot of things that's understood, especially coming from the New Testament, is wait. And so, you know, nobody does anything but preach and so on and so forth. So I think what we need to do is analyze the current situation and go from there. And understand, first and foremost, that the Most High is a living El, and that he can move on your behalf right now, like in your situation. So that's mine. And the next time I talk, we can get into last week's conversation.
Okay. Shema, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Well, I guess we could roll into, last week's conversation. Unless anybody that is listening, you can call the number 516-595-8238, and we would revisit. And I see Brother Mercy's in the queue unless he never came out. And I'll let him in a minute.
He never came out.
But he never came out. Okay. Then there's no need. But just give suggestions on things that we can do that actually helps each other, and actually be able to promote, like I say, for what we stand for. Like you had a lot of Hebrew Israelite groups out there. I mean, as far as people that say they're in the truth, and they do not stand for what I see in the book contextually to stand for. So I can't use them, but that is what has the mainstream. And they're the ones that you see the videos of about them on the corner slaying people and calling them all kind of names. But that's basically what they would think represents me as soon as I say, oh, if I said I was Hebrew Israelite, that's what I would have to deal with. Point blank period. But if I don't say that I'm Hebrew Israelite, I say I got to start explaining what I really am. That's the bad part about all this. You say I'm Israel, they're going to be like, Hebrew Israelite? You're a black Hebrew? They got the whole unorthodox, unneeded term, black Hebrew Israelite title strapped on you, and then they wondering, do you wear suits on Saturdays and, cursing people out on the street corners of downtown. So,
I feel you. I definitely feel you. It's to the point. Me and Brother Shema went through that earlier before we even hooked up with you. We went on the show, and they was like, we're looking for black Hebrew Israelites to interview. Really, they wanted to set the black Hebrew Israelites up and just try to tear them apart. And me and Brother Shema went on the show. They chose us out of all the people because I guess nobody volunteered. I was like, hey, man, we'll go on. I'll bring a brother with me. We went on, and they started coming at us we wasn't, and this came from their own mouth, we wasn't what they expected. They was looking for us to be saying a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And I guess, cussing and all this stuff like that, and it wasn't. So the show just, like, they got upset because we wasn't what they expected. And, like, it's crazy that you
Well, you're not a Hebrew Israelite then. Yes, we are. But we're trying to present to you this is actually how we are supposed to be. But, you know, it was a funny show. But then, hold on, did you tell them part that then then a black Hebrew Israelite, what you would call the ones that be extreme, came on the show and they had totally disregarded us. They stopped talking to us. They didn't say nothing to us. They went all at him. I was like, wow.
They want to attack that. Because exactly. The fact of the matter is they wanted to attack that. They wanted to expose some people that say that they were Israelites and stuff like that. And that's like the biggest thing to make us out to be some kind of joke at the end of the day. Like, well, let's prove them wrong. And let's show them that they don't have anything. And to be honest with you, it's not proving us wrong, but as far as the vision or the face of anybody that stands for the Most High in this truth is them. And it's like they debunking themselves. And they're sounding stupid. And it's like, wait a minute, this is, you know what I mean? You making this book look bad. You making this whole culture seem bad. You know, and that's the worst group that you would even want to actually perpetuate on yourself, because they say they are Hebrew, but don't want to learn a lick of Hebrew. It makes no sense. And then if you feel that black people are Israelites, why would you have to put black Hebrew Israelites?
Right.
It makes no sense. You still threw the term that we're trying to get away from back into your name. But I have to deal with it if I say I'm Israelite. You would have to deal with it if you say, oh, I'm Hebrew Israelite, or anything. You would have to basically say, you have to fight against what is perpetuated through all of what they see. I promise you'll have somebody saying, well, do you want multiple wives? Or, oh, you really, you know what I'm saying, feel this. Look, man, that's not my term. To be honest with you, I really be trying to learn Hebrew. You got to start breaking this stuff. To be honest with you, I can't really. It was the same thing with Christianity when I was in it, and I started coming out of Christianity like that. As far as out of the Sunday church, they'd be like, "What are you?" I didn't even know how to identify myself because I couldn't say just Christian, because that was a barrage of a bunch of stuff. And people just look at you like, "Well, what?" Then they start going, "You're Baptist." You know what I mean? They basically gonna ask you what group you fit in. They gotta know whether or not you dance. Y'all don't play music in church. Whether or not you only wear dresses at certain times. They're going to know your whole doctrine about what you still in that denomination. And that, because the statue, I'll say, best way to say for me at this point, the statue of what they look at for what your belief is has already been out there. Whether or not you're extreme or you're conservative. That's what they think of, and that's the same way it is for what we are, for what we look at and how we're looked at today. If you decide to say black Hebrew Israelite, now they want to know what side, what camp are you from. But in actuality, we're trying to stay away from that. And we say, no. You can keep those camps. Let's keep it real. This is a nation, buddy. You're talking about a belief of a certain group of people. They're supposed to have their nationality. And it's a total difference. All right? A nation sticks together, they just so happen to be the same nationality. Okay? But even if other people on the outside stuck to that nationality, that nation, they was also considered of that nation. As we see in Israel, was always someone else that was outside that even fought in the armies that they was in. Uriah was not an Israelite. They let you know he was a Hittite. So, do you think, and Dawid got punished for killing a Hittite? So you think that they're not equal if they was following up under the same laws and rules? But that's a whole nother subject. Let me push on. Point blank being is, we have to figure out some kind of way. So just like Shema and Yedidyah said, when they knew what they stood for, they was like, this is not the people we're looking for. That means it was something different about them. That means it was something that they wasn't expecting. And we really, that would probably give them even less reasons to mess with them because they're looking for someone that they feel don't stand for it, and that's why they feel like they can exploit that. Because if you walk across a couple people that you really felt like was representing the Most High, you ain't finna start bashing them. This is the kindest dude in the world. This is one of the most meek spirits ever. I mean, I can't really mess with a dude like that. I don't see too many. I mean, I'm just gonna stop right there. But I guess I just had to get that out as far as like that. But what I would say is, because we're gonna kind of roll into the questions last week. What I would say is, if anybody thinks of something, anybody, to where we can start, promoting what we're on, and what we're on is unity and understanding this book the way it's wrote and not trying to make nothing up. Nothing. We get to the point sometimes like, don't say that, so I'm not going to say that. And that's where it should be. Let's keep on pushing. Let's go to the big need of the matter. And also, now, if you really want to keep it real, if you're really a law-following citizen or a law-following Israelite, then the way you treat your brother, which you could call another, plays a big factor in every last law that you think that you equate to. So we have to get this thing together as far as, or you breaking the law anyway. Because the whole law, as we see, is about fair judgment, you know what I'm saying, justice, and all this other stuff. At this point, we can see the injustice that they do to our people. We might not be in a position to say what we want to say, but here's the problem. We're trying to be in position to say what needs to be said. But because it's some real truth of the matter, pointing the fingers back to what we need to do as a nation, and the ones saying, hey, forget what they talking about. What are we talking about? Don't nobody want to hear that. That's real talk. But it is some people that want to hear it, and I guess those are the people that is the more so of the concern to add to this thing, so we can get together as one. Not, and to the Most High be all the glory, because it ain't about us three. It never has been about this catalyst of Blog Talk Radio. This is nothing on the grand scheme of things. What we on is to try to be what the Most High has called us to be as a nation, period. And we know that we need each other. So somebody else, we know we need their expertise in this or that, and it helps us. That's what this is about. Because, to be honest with you, I'm my own person, got my own thing, and I can't help you with everything. And same way with Shema and Yedidyah, but us three, we are good for, because we're going to bring you different opinions and this, that, and the other. You add another person to the book, they bring their site, and as long as we can coerce between each other intelligently, we're going to come down to the bottom of every situation that we come across, and that's what makes us stronger as a people, the more people coming together to try to solve problems. But this message is not the message that is pushed out. Let's just solve these problems. Let's get together. Let's follow it. Y'all want to figure out what every law say and how to do it? We need to get together to figure this out, because you can't have it all because you don't even do this, and you can't have it all because you read from that little version, and you can't have it all because of this. And I can pick and point in every group why you don't have it all together, even within myself. And I want to call this a group.
Hey, just to chime in on what you're saying, we got a few more callers that just came in. What we're talking about is just how do we get in line with one another, stand up, and actually make this thing a reality, like on a mainstream level of just our beliefs far as going back to the culture of the Hebrews, let's just say that, the Israelites. So we have different people. You know, we can't come together because we got different stances on what that means, what that looks like. And we trying to just get in line with what the Most High want as far as the nation is concerned. Because as the brother put up a post before, we are not a nation. Like, you can have a nationality, but until you are independent within the spectrum of a government, so on and so forth, you are not a nation. You just have a nationality. So that's what we really talking about. And if anybody that just called in would like to speak on that, just press 1, and we'll let you in and let you speak your piece on it. But one of the things, in the meanwhile, as we wait for somebody going to queue, one of the things that you said that really stood out to me is the whole Hebrew thing, you know, because when we look at the unity portion of it, a lot of the separation comes from what book you read. And when you was going over the camps, a lot of the Hebrew Israelite, just to generalize the term, Hebrew Israelite camps, they use the 1611 KJV. Now, this leads us into kind of last week and what was discussed, and Brother Mercy, he chimed in on it. But last week I parsed, I believe it was 2 Kings 8 and 10. And because there was some confusion. Now, Brother Mercy said if you go to the Young's literal translation, it had it actually similar to what I rendered that it should say. But the versions that we were using on the show, all three of them, I was using the KJV. Yosef was using the scriptures.
ISR, yeah.
And Shema was using the stone Tanakh, the stone edition Tanakh. And that's one of the most used Jewish-based, or not to say Jewish, but Tanakh-based, because it's just the Tanakh. So, you know, it actually got the Hebrew in there and everything, and it didn't even render it like that. So what I think would eliminate what the brother was saying, like if we learn Hebrew, I know a lot of people, you know, they go against that, and, you know, they put a lot of faith and trust into the KJV and stuff like that. But, like, if we're about truth, the truth of the matter is the KJV was wrong in rendering that specific verse, and it caused confusion. It caused, like, division, even amongst the panel, because O was saying one thing, like that brother lied. And if you went off of the three versions that we went off of, I couldn't, like, I tried to fight it a little bit, but at the end, I had to be real with myself. If it really say this, yeah, he told him to lie. But when I went and looked at it in the Hebrew, the brother told him he would not recover because the Most High showed him that he would surely die. And then he started crying. So once you read the context, it makes perfect sense. Which Brother Mercy, you know, he told us if we would have looked in the Young's literal translation, we wouldn't have had that confusion. But the fact of the matter is, he said that afterwards. After I went and parsed it. But on the show, it was still confusion. So that was my point. And my point and our point still is that knowing a little Hebrew does matter. Now, we're not saying everybody going to end up learning Hebrew, but it would be beautiful if everybody learned Hebrew that say that they follow this. And I think it would be less confusion. Huh?
Hebrew words matter. my hashtag. Hebrew words matter. I'm on that, okay?
But that's one of the things. Like when he said that, I feel like that's important. But if you know what I'm saying, I posted it on the Facebook group, the parsing that I did, and I showed the comparison of the KJV versus what the original Hebrew actually renders. And so if you ain't checked that out, you know what I'm saying, you can go to his Talk One's Talk Radio Facebook group. You can search it on Facebook. Request access. We'll grant you that, and then you can go in there and look at it. I do plan on doing a video just to explain a little further for those that really don't understand what they looking at. But
I was just about to, if you allow me, man, I was just about to say something in regards to what you're saying. I think that could be something implemented on the website and or just on YouTube to where, I mean, I know neither one of us, I mean, you're pretty good at it, but it's like proficient in parsing, but just a little knowledge that you even have on parsing. I think that if that could be something shown to the people that's listening or trying to learn, because the Young's literal translation, if you really think about even the name of the version, literal translation, I think that a literal translation is a lot better than a version, if that makes sense. Because here's the thing, it's nothing more accurate than the Hebrew itself. From a standpoint of all the scriptures that we have, all the versions that we have comes from the Hebrew text, period. So the most accurate in the whole world that does not change is the actual Hebrew text. But the versions is what changes. So the best way, if you don't want to learn Hebrew, is to go to a more literal translation to get the most accurate understanding of the Hebrew text itself. But parsing what he did, which I was, take my hat off to Yedidyah for doing that, it brings grammar involved. It brings past tense. It brings future tense. It brings all these things that helps you to understand exactly what the scripture is saying. This is something a little bit not even advanced, to tell you all the truth, but just something that'll help you get a step further of understanding the text. And I believe that what he brought out, if most Christians of Christianity, if most people even in the truth who say they're Hebrew but don't want to learn Hebrew, that does not make sense. Just say you're a follower of the Bible or something. I don't know. And no, I'm not knocking them, but it bothers me, man. It bothers me as soon as you try to present this stuff. Well, we don't got to learn Hebrew, brother. Well, stop saying amen, hallelujah, shalom. Stop saying that you're Hebrew. Stop. And then using Zephaniah 3:9 out of context, Isaiah, I forgot the other ones right now off the top of my head. Stop using that stuff out of context to try to verify what you're saying. We don't need to learn it. That's a lie. Well, God ain't never said that we have to, or he never said you didn't have to either. So that's, I know I'm ranting right now, but I'm trying to lead back up to what Yedidyah was presenting. I think that it's important to do what he had presented, man. And Brother Mercy had brought our Young literal translation. I brought that part to say literal is very important too. When you start going spiritual or starting to go to have an agenda, because I haven't really studied the Young's literal translation like that, but what I have found out, me, Yedidyah, and Yosef, and I'm sure some of you possibly, that a lot of these versions have agendas. The only thing that does not have an agenda from my understanding is the actual Hebrew text. With that, I yield.
So, I don't know where you want to go next, but I know we said we was going to address the whole statement and question from last week. So, whenever you're ready for that, I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead and you go into that.
All right. So, before I get started, though, we got roughly 6 minutes before we go into the overtime portion, I believe. So if anybody's online and they want to continue this dialogue, you'll have to call in. The number is 516-595-8238. Number again is 516-595-8238. And Brother Mercy, you still have a question mark on your next to your phone number. That means that you're in the queue. So if you could press 1 and see if you can get out the queue. I don't know if you tried it already or not. That way I know when you're ready to come in. If you can't get out the queue, then I just let you in when it's time for you to come in, because I do want you to speak. All right, so last week, for those that wasn't tuned in, we was going over 7, 8, and 9 of 2 Kings. And I made a statement. And Brother Mercy, you know, he came back and said something on the statement that I made, and then he had a question. So what I did, I actually have a clip of the statement. I'm going to play the clip so we know exactly what was said. And then I also have Brother Mercy's response and question. So I'm going to play that as well. But I'm going to play what I said first, and then I'm going to articulate what I meant. And then I'm going to play Brother Mercy's response, and then we're going to address Brother Mercy's response, and then we could address my statement if it's something that was still unclear or you wanted to say something on it. So here is my statement. Because in order for you to actually revolt, you have to be able to be independent. And I think that blacks or African Americans don't want to revolt because they don't feel like they're independent enough. And, I mean, to be honest, at this point, it would be hard to do, to actually revolt and be independent. That means you have your own form of government. You have your own sovereign. That means you put a king, or I don't like the word king, but you put a sovereign, because to me, there's only one king. All right. So as you all heard, you know, I was talking about revolt.
Hey, that was raw, by the way. I just want you to know that. You feel like a real radio show. Go ahead.
And how it was actually, you know, what a revolt is. You know what I mean? You don't revolt and then remain up under somebody's authority. A lot of times we see what we would label as a revolt or a protest. You see a protest or whatever, you're protesting for rights, but still being up under somebody else's authority. So really, it's more of you want to be included, or you want what's the term I'm looking for, y'all? Opposite of segregation.
Integration.
Integration. There you go. Integration. You want integration. So that's not a revolt. In order to revolt, though, you have to be able to become independent. So that's why even when they let the slaves, quote unquote, so to say, free, they wasn't really bothered by it because they knew they could manipulate it to where they would still be under their authority, but it be labeled as the people be free. Because a lot of times, if you go back to that time where, you know, freedom was declared, a lot of the slaves ended up staying on the plantation and still working, because they wasn't independent enough to get out on their own. So it was still dependency, which is opposite of independent. It was a dependency on the oppressor. So technically, you're not independent. You're not free. You know, where you say Independence Day, you know, that means that you come from under. Actual Independence Day is not geared towards blacks. Let's just put that out first. It's the Americans' independence. And I know Brother Mercy knows that well. You know, he's a history buff. Jeff, he's a history buff. He knows that. You know, but even June 10th, which is something big that's celebrated in Texas, far as the Texas culture, because of Texas was the last ones to actually come from under that. But even that is not really independence, because the people that was in slavery still depended on the nation that was formed off the backs of the black people and the blood that was shed. And so we really can't call it independence. But moving forward, when I said the statement that really caused Brother Mercy to ask his question was, I said, I don't really like saying king, but because to me there's one king, and I'm talking about the creator when I say that. Now, Brother Mercy didn't agree with that, but I think when I play his clip, you'll hear that we actually said the same thing. Because in my clip, you heard me say that we need to place a leader over us, a sovereign. And then I said king, but then I said I really don't like to say king because to me there's only one king. So I didn't oppose the fact that we needed a leader, a head leader over us as a people. I just said I didn't like the word king because it's associated with the type of setup is what I'm more so saying, which the Most High was opposed to that. If you read in Scripture, it is 1 Samuel, 1 Shemuel 12 and 12. I'll pull it up, matter of fact, and read it to y'all. I'm going to read it from the KJV, but it says, "And when ye saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, you said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king." So that is the basis of why I said what I said. But then we'll play Brother Mercy's clip, and then we'll kind of go off that. So this is Brother Mercy's response.
Well, in this country, we have had revolts or revolutions. We've had it, it's been about the North and the South. It's been about, and we've always been used, African Americans has always been used as pawns to fight other people's wars. And there was a revolution over here between the North and the South, the South to keep slavery. I say all that to say that what's going on over here, because we didn't do like Israel, the Hebrew ancestors, they went to their own land. See, when you don't have your own land, you're going to fight somebody else's war. That's just what's going to happen. I mean, we all assimilated into the system. We're all working, paying taxes, part of the Uncle Sam system. So we can act like we're not part of it, but we are part of it. And the only way we can survive over here is to become a part of it, and to what they call assimilate. We had to assimilate. How are you going to eat? If you don't work for the system, how are you going to eat? I mean, how are you going to survive? You don't have your own land. You don't have your own house. You got to get your house. You got to get your own land. How do you pay for those things? You got to go to work. So I say all that, and then we were working. Hold on, wait a minute, time out. Let me change that. We were working since we got off the boat, but we had to get a paycheck, because you got to understand, we've had to work up to the humanization as you talk about, Yedidyah. We were working the whole time we were over here, but we was working not getting the check. So, I mean, we had to pass all of that. So, I mean, it's been a battle, man. It's been an uphill battle the whole time we got off the slave ship. So I say all that to say, unless you're trying to leave and come up with your own, you know. And then, to me, setting up a king doesn't mean y'all is not king. Because you're going to have some type of sovereign ruler. Like you can have a president, or you can have a king, whatever the case may be. And then we go back to the story about, you know, it was evil to ask for a king, those type of things. But when you come up with your own land, you're going to have some type of leader over that. So whether you want to call it the president, whether you want to call it the chancellor, I don't know, play with words. But I just wanted to say that, I mean, there was a time when the prophet, watch this, when the prophet was leading God's people and there was no king. You know what I'm saying? When Samuel led them, you know, when Moses led them. So you could be led by the prophet, you know. So I think we have to be led by the prophet to get our own. So, you know, I think we have to do that. So, you know, with them, they set a king over them. I don't read about any prophets leading them, but I just wanted to say that, you know, in order for us to get to where we need to go, I guess we have to do like they did. They followed Samuel, they followed Moses, they followed Elisha, they followed Elijah. We had different prophets to lead us to our own land. So I had a question to the brothers, just because I had a brother. Do you think we have to come up with our own land in order to not assimilate? That was my question.
All right, so we see what Brother Mercy said, which I don't think really is against what I was saying. I know there's always been a leader. I just don't like to say king because it was, like he said, it was looked upon in Scripture that it was evil for them to set up a king. But what we must understand that it was a specific setup that the Most High was opposed to. And that's the same thing I'm opposed to. And if I'm a follower of Yah, I can't be not opposed to what he's opposed to. Then that's me not really being a follower of Yah. You know, whatever he's opposed to, I'm supposed to be in line with whatever he sees as good and whatever he sees as evil. That's one of the things that was addressed as we go forward in one of the prophets. It said, you have made evil for good and good for evil. So if he said that was evil, I would be putting myself in the same category to those he was speaking to if I made it good, what he said was evil. So that's my main thing. Now, I don't believe Brother Mercy is really opposing what I'm saying, as I don't know if everybody else heard both clips, but it seemed like we was on the same lines. I don't know why, you know what I'm saying, it kind of went in that direction. But to me, I don't really see that there's a disagreement there. It's just a way of explaining. And I think, as I just explained, should clear up. If there is some type of disagreement, it should clear it up. If not, then we got a bigger problem than what we think we got. Now, as far as his question that he asked, I guess I'll address it first, and then the rest can address it. I think Brother Shema actually said something about it on last show, but he could reiterate on what he was talking about. But as far as do we need to get some more land or whatever the case may be, I think all that depends on what the Most High wants from us. When we look in the Scripture, a lot of Scripture will tell us what he wants, you know, and that's just where I'm at with it. I can't really go into detail about it. I do know if we want to be independent and want to call ourselves a nation, what I can say is that if we sitting up under some other governmental system, then no, we're not a nation, and no, we're not fulfilling, you know, any of that. You know, being scattered is being scattered. Being amongst the Gentiles or whatever you want to say, which simply just means amongst the nations, which we already are, that's what it is. That's what we are, and that means we fall up under somebody else. We are not representing what the Most High would have us to represent, as far as being free and being because we're scattered. So that's kind of my stance on it right now. I can't really go too much into it, but I can't say what the Most High want from us right now. That's just unless He speaks to me or I could read in the Scripture of right now, what He wants. And that's pretty much all I got.
Well, I'm going to let Brother Mercy in if that's all right with you.
All right.
After he speak, I wanted to speak on what was said.
I'm sorry,
on
you
the
did
clip.
say you wanted to speak.
But I mean, I can wait till he's done.
Then I'll open up. Okay. I'll open him up then.
I'll wait till he's done.
And then so he can have direction. Brother Mercy, you're live.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, first of all, is I guess where I was going with it, I was kind of going a different direction with it. I don't disagree with Yedidyah. I want to say that for the record. Yedidyah is absolutely correct, but I'm trying to go in a different direction with it. And the reason why I was going in a different direction, what I have a problem with is people saying that God is our only king when they living in America. See, that's what I got a problem with. And I'm going to tell you why I got a problem with that. Because unless you got your own, well, I'll just say it this way. If you're working every day, you got more than one person governing your life. You can sit up here and act like you ain't got nobody but y'all. That's crazy. Because your boss tell you to go to work, you report your black behind right to work. So, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, if we want, like Yedidyah states, if we want to claim that we're our own nation, we got our own kings and queens. You know how we black people do. We all were kings, queens, and kings, right? We all kings and queens. Everybody's a king, everybody's a queen. I'm sitting up like, hold on, wait a minute, time out. Even if you go back to Africa, everybody wasn't a king, and everybody wasn't a queen. Okay? I mean, everybody's not a king, and everybody's not a queen, you know. So even when Israel had a king, everybody wasn't the king. So I just wanted to say that even if you have that type of government, a monarchy type of government, everybody's not a king. So to say that you only have God as your king, I think we would have to go live like the days of Samuel, and that is when he was leading the children of Israel, they didn't have a king. But what did y'all say? He said, I was their king, and they rejected. This is what he told Samuel. He said, I was their king. So it ain't that they didn't have a king, and this was Yedidyah saying, but I was their king, and they rejected me as king by asking for a king. So what did the Most High really have a problem with? They rejected him as king by requesting a king. Now that's deep. But they didn't have a king. Understand that. But they didn't have a king. Okay, so first we got to get to the place where we don't have a king. Then you get to that place first. After you get to the place where you don't have a king, then if you ask for a king, I think that's wicked. But if you have a king now, or if you have a president, or if you have a governing body, or whatever the case may be, you're under something. And when you're under that, you have to obey those rules and regulations and so forth. And all I'm simply saying is that what I have a problem with is people who are trying to have anarchy or trying to fight against the governing bodies, but they still want to live and use the same currency with the governing bodies on the, the presidents are on our money, and we're using it to make transactions. And then you want to say that you're a king, but you're using a dead president, a picture of a dead president, to do transactions. So it's hypocritical. So that's what I got a problem with. Yeah, you could say y'all's your king, your only king, but really the truth of the matter is, yeah, that's true, but then you have other governing authorities that plays a part in your life as well. But what I wanted to say is that, real quick, is that, yeah, y'all's our king, but we do have others over us that tell us what to do. Now, if you want to get to the place where you don't have nobody telling you to do but y'all, then I think you have to go to your own lane. That's the point I was trying to make. Maybe you guys disagree with that. But I think in order to get to the point where y'all is your only boss, then I think you have to live like those people. That's the only point I was trying to go. And that's it.
And before you go, Shemai, for the record, I just want to say that I agree with that. So we're not at odds. We're not at disagreements. I understand exactly where Brother Mercy is coming from. And just my statement, I believe, was just misunderstood a little bit, because the way it came out when I said there's only one king, and when you deep into the word king, sovereign. The Most High is sovereign over all things. So no matter what, you know what I'm saying, how we seen kings come and go, presidents come and go as he speak, is dead people on money. You know what I'm saying? The Most High never dies. He's an everlasting king. He's the king of all kings. So at the end of the day, there's only one king that remains standing, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the universe. Yod Hey, Wow Hey. That's what I'm saying.
Amen.
Undisputed heavyweight champion of the universe. That was a good. He just made a title up. Okay, I'm glad that we got that. But Shamar had something he wanted to say. Mercy, I'm going to take you out the queue just so you can press one so you can get out. Just to regulate when you do have something to say. All right. Shamar.
I kind of lost my train of thought, to be honest with you. Over the many things that has been said, but I want to put a couple things out there. I should have wrote down what I wanted to say. Yeah, this is another topic. Matter of fact, what I'm talking about will be another rest show. Never mind. I'm gonna bring something out, and it'll be another rest show. I'll write it down because it's kind of long. It's deep. It's another topic. It's were we was the first time we were here in America? Was it when we got brought over here in ships, or were we here before? That'll be the topic of the rest show, and it kind of leads to what I want to bring out or what I want to say.
That's deep.
It is very deep because there's some things
Do
that
you
took
think
place.
The perimeters of okay, I'm going to ask you a question, but go ahead.
No, it can answer some questions or at least provoke some thought because it's something he said in that clip that made me want to say, I forgot what he said, but there are many ways around the stuff that we're speaking of now, and it's all legit. It's all, they respect it, they understand it. One of the questions would be to that topic would be, okay, well, if that's the case, then is the Bible valid? Because it said it would be brought over in slave ships, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you go in history, what happened to all the people in 70 AD? They only went in Africa? I don't think so. It's taught that case, but it has been proven historical evidence that some of us, more than likely was here before this stuff was established. And then it goes into... This is another topic, y'all. But it goes in. I've been doing a lot of study and researching lately, and finding out like who we are. I understand us to be Israel and things like that. But it's some things with the laws and that can better address what Brother Mercy is speaking on. It is ways to be foreign to the U.S. corporation, but you're not foreign to the land of America. See, they know that. It is ways around or ways to establish some of the things that Mercy is speaking on. It is ways to be foreign to them and still be a part of this land because it's our right to be a part of this land. But they make it to where we don't know, especially if we don't even know to look into these, study into these topics to apply to our life. So this will have to be another rest show, to be honest with you.
Well, let me ask you a question, Jamal, real quick. I mean, I've looked into some things, right? And the Native Americans here before, they was thought of to be possibly Israel. So why wouldn't this be a land that already had the laws of the Most High on it for some of those? I know some of the tribes that went off and did what they wanted to do, just like
as
all the others.
do.
I mean, it's an assumption that, but there's some people that have some back into this thing. I mean, if anybody has really looked into it or something like that, but that some of the northern kingdoms or the northern kingdom, I don't know. Israel had basically fled to this land. And they would say that it was proof on how they dressed and some even what they called the creator and everything. Some of the tribes were broken off and went into some full-blown idolatry. But that's not too slack from Israel anyway, as far as going off into some idolatry. It's just repeating itself. Now, I don't know if I buy into the whole thing of the United States being really the promised land. I mean, honestly, if I'm to speak pretty, I think that's more so of a ploy not to want to leave here in the first place. Say, this is the promised land. It's better than over there, you know. In retrospect, I don't think that that's true. But that's just right now. Times and things change later on with more understanding, though.
They say it's better because we freely live over here in the sense of no type of godly laws in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Divine laws of us following. That's why we want to live wickedly over here. You know, though we still in captivity in a sense, but you know that's why we want to say it's better over here. And you know they got to stay strict over there.
No. What they was more so saying is the land more cultivative. Like you can use this land for more. Like it was. These resources are better than the ones that's over there. Like that's what they were trying to lean towards more so.
Yeah, that's a lie. It's better than Africa.
Hey,
is that what they say?
What people say. That's why I say I don't
get
believe
everything
that.
from over there. You know what I'm saying? Like well, go ahead.
But no. I mean everybody got their own beliefs and systems and stuff like that. Like you said, there's ways to get around everything. But which goes back to, let me bring this thing back in full circle. What happens, okay, now, we had this we had this rest show, and what have we come up with? You know, what ways can we stand out, and what can we do? In retrospect, I will start with you, Shema, and then go to Yedidyah.
What can we do as far as individually or collectively?
I mean, individually to the collective, like things that we have to do because me, you, and Yedidyah, we're not in the same state, but we collectively doing something. We just individuals doing something on the same accord. So that's how we're going to kind of have to be as far as being a scattered nation, you know what I mean? So it would have to be individual efforts, but it's for the collective goal.
I would say the very thing that we're trying to accomplish now is a good step. Everything requires an initial step, and that initial step, that vision that we spoke on shows prior to this one, has to be implemented. And if we don't start with the initial step, we won't get to the end result of what we want. My answer will be towards some of the stuff I'm speaking of now, which I haven't really thoroughly went into, is it has to start with an individual. And in order for those masses to see the vision, they got to see something that you're doing. When you think of, and I'm not doing what Yedidyah was speaking on, I'm just trying to, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I'm about to use an example of the way that the Moshe was used in order to get to the people. That he had to show them some type of evidence that this is truly the Most High, and this is truly him bringing us out. This is truly going to work. So they had to see something. So in order for like some of the things I'm speaking of that is foreign to some people, I have to show them what I'm doing. And then it's not going to be a lot of people that's going to want to do it regardless, but that's a step to go forward and to slowly build a nation and in actually making the things that we're speaking of happen, making the things that Mercy is speaking of happen, you know, especially if you're not even leaving America. But the things I'm saying, we can actually do what Mercy is speaking of here. He's not wrong. What he's saying, trust that. I'm not saying that, But I'm saying it is a way to do it here. It is a way for you not to be a part of the U.S. corporation and still be okay of being within this land because of the treaties put in place before all of the things that we know to be now, ignorantly, by the way. So it has to start, to answer your question lastly, that's what I'm saying, it has to start individual so people can see a vision, believe in that vision that you're presenting, and to begin going in that direction that you have started. Martin Luther King, as an example. Any leader, it was always the leaders that started this, the people that saw their vision and saw them bit by bit accomplishing that vision that inspired them to be a part of that vision. That's it.
Okay, and I also wanted to, somebody had given me an answer to my question, but I'm going to say it, and I know they don't want to say it. So I'm going to repeat it. Said a lot of the other people that have a lot of recognition to be a voice are actually addressing some of the hot topics that Israel is dealing with. We have done it a little bit as far as the dangerous doctrines came with polygamy and, all the other stuff that was primitive to what people wanted to hear, and we had a lot of people listening. We had the dangerous doctrines, too. We had a lot of people listening. At those points, it would be more so for an ear for somebody to say, let me see what they're talking about. To me, personally, I feel like we tried, and I'm just one of those people, people ain't listening. Whatever. But in actuality, we do want the people that are genuine to listen. It really ain't about quantity. It's about quality listeners, for me. So that was what was just told to me. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I'm going to let you go, Yedidyah, and say what you have to say, and if you have any responses to whatever I just said.
Nah, I mean, for me, I would agree, with what both of you had stated. Me personally, I feel like I'm driving in a direction as an individual, moving into the collective. A lot of the things that we brought up here on the show, I think we have taken a step to attack it, because a lot of times you got to get rid of the cancer, within the body, and, by whatever means necessary, whether it's cutting that off, cutting a limb off, or getting something to treat it, to counterproduct what's going on that is causing harm to the body. And one of those things is this KJV only, like what was said, dangerous doctrines, causing confusion, all this stuff like that. So a lot of the steps, just as an individual, me learning Hebrew myself, and to be able to teach others to learn Hebrew. Like I said, to me it'll be beautiful for everybody that claim to be Hebrew to know Hebrew. So you can't be fooled, because like I even said, the Stone edition Tanakh, we've identified words that's added to that, and these are from people that know Hebrew. The Hebrew is right next to it, and there's words in there that shouldn't be in there. You know what I mean? And for somebody that would get a Stone edition Tanakh, not knocking the book as a whole, but I'm just saying, like, for it to have Hebrew next to it and then still have extra stuff in there or whatever, like, that's kind of like a smack in the face, like, to read next to the Hebrew and it's added words. So it's like, here's the Hebrew right in your face, and I'm going to still manipulate the text. And you still ain't going to be able to know, even though I put the Hebrew right next to it. So for somebody like me to be able to go and say, no, it don't say that, gives us a great advantage, just even to have one person to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? But the more people that's able to do that, the better we'll be. You know, but to at least have one person to say, no, they don't say that, that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? That's a step forward to me. And, you know, that's one thing. Us going through this contextually is great. You know, when the time comes, you know, it's to me, it's like I feel like the Most High is allowing us to be equipped to move forward. Because a lot of times we'll move forward and we're not ready. You know what I'm saying? So right now, just me equipping myself, like, for instance, I see you, you know, you had got a pro mask, a gas mask. You know, I call it pro mask, you know, protective mask. You know, you got a gas mask, you know, stuff like that. So if something was to jump off, you be prepared. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of other things, you know, that needs to be done, I feel, you know, but it starts, like Brother Shema said, it starts with us that have the vision, that have the drive to do it, to be prepared for anything that comes along. So, and then also, you know, each one teach one, you know, so people can only teach others what they know, and what they do is create more people like them, just like we went into the sons of the prophets. These are not literal sons. It's just these people produced more prophets like them. So they are understudies. So, you know, a lot of people use this. We haven't talked about this in a long time. I hope nobody's offended by me saying this, but there's a term out there called buoyites. And it's, you know, I've heard the term before, and, you know, it just means that these people basically were, their belief, their whole, you know, stance is based off of Brother Bowie. So, you know, they call them buoyites. You know, they follow what Bowie say. You know, they've learned from his teachings. So that's a lot what we deal with. So what we teach is what we know. And the more we know, the better we can teach, and the better people that we can produce off of them following our teachings. And that's all I got.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. I agree. One thing, like we said, this is a major thing, and it's something we kind of been broadcasting before, is them Hebrew words. Point blank, period. At first, it was like, yeah, you got to know a little bit. Yeah, you got to know a little bit. Then it's like, well, you got to know a little bit more than a little bit, because after I found this out, you know what I mean, I found this out, and then you be like, then you get to a point where you say, you know what, if you ain't learning Hebrew, you really can't understand this Bible, because they're going to lie to you. That's just what it is. Whoever you trust in, KJV, ISR, whatever, they're going to lie to you. They got agendas, and that's the problem. So breaking through the doctrine or indoctrination has been the biggest thing, period. And we've been having a problem with that. We not having a problem no more. We did at one point. I'll say that. Because I don't really get into those debates and stuff like that no more. Because sometimes it's for nothing. A lot of people just want to believe what they want to believe. Okay? No matter how much truth you come with. So it's not about those type of people. It's about the more genuine people that really want to know what this thing says. And, you know, I guess it would be, you know, us having to be individuals, but on a collective manner. Also have to hold each other accountable, too, as a small group that we are. The one thing that, you know, I can and I do like to see is at least the faithful, they get on the show. You know, it's good to have somebody come in every now and then. But the faithful is the ones that actually understanding some things because they've been with us. And they stick with us. And I'm not talking about the ones that just call in. I'm talking about the ones that listen back on the show and everything. You know, that's a good thing to have some faithfuls, because when we run across something, we ran across it together. Now, yeah, we don't have the the most appealing not mindset. We don't have the most appealing show ethics. Not ethics. Title. It's not what everybody wants to hear. Everybody don't want to say to themselves that they was wrong about something and have to revisit something and actually be. The whole name. It adjusts for itself. His taught one, meaning we're not about to go about what everybody else has taught us. We're trying to be his taught ones. It's something in the title. It's something in the name. And for some of those that don't understand why it's his taught ones or understand what that really meant or means, it means to learn from him. Because we understand it's different angles and directions, and everybody's teaching every doctrine they want to teach, and it sounds all good, and I'm not saying everybody's wrong or nothing like that, but that's where we have all this confusion, and we want to learn from him. So us understanding how this spirit of the Most High works and how he can give us the spirit of understanding, we stand in faith to understand that he can give us the spirit of understanding so we can understand this book the way he wants us to learn it. That's hence his taught one. And then perpetuate this thing out. It's the way that it's supposed to go about this nation and if that and the other. But I guess as far as the promotion stands, I might have to do, we all have to do our own part. It's something that I think as far as just everybody. Like, we have to promote this show. We have to talk about what's going on in our heads, what the Father has put on us. We have to start to reach out to some of these people. And, yes, you will have opposition with everything, okay? Okay, if your music is conscious and you're like, this is the conscious music, you're not somebody else saying, no, it's not conscious music. And now you're fighting over what you said, whatever. It doesn't matter. You got to keep on striving. And we're taking the little steps, but honestly, this can't just fall. Oh, go ahead, all of them say this can't fall on just 3 people. We're going to continue in the mission. All we ask is that, and I'm not saying nobody is. I'm saying people that listen in that don't, have too much to say, let somebody else know about it. Share it on your social media site. Give a shout out here or there, to help. Maybe it could reach out to the person, another person. Because everybody wasn't on their show at the beginning. Mercy wasn't, but he's come and he's been faithful. So, and Jeff, he's been faithful. And all this other people, Hoffman has been faithful from jump. And that's from the beginning. And I mean, that's without being said. So now we want to, project out what we've seen so far because we're sitting on a lot of information, too. We're sitting on a lot of context. It's almost like you eat so much, it's called this word eating, and it's time to boo-boo, okay? Time to get this stuff out because we see where they tearing this world up. But that's me, and I see stuff. But, yeah, go ahead.
I like that little analogy. That was funny, too, and then you talking about they tearing his word up. But, yeah, they been tearing his word up from the first time they translated them up to English, to Greek, whatever you want to say. They've been tearing it up. But what I did want to say also is, like, just from the music aspect, I mean, because there's different areas of promotion, so that's why really I came out of retirement, or I decided to come out of retirement and start, pushing music again, because I know that makes a big impact on people, music. So that's why, I have the skill to do it, so, I'm sitting on a gift, I might as well just, that's another avenue. So I've decided to come out of retirement, put some music that pushes the message that we trying to do, and y'all will hear it, in the future. I will actually display, the album probably here on the show or something, and let everybody review it and see what they think. But my album, I already got the ideal of what it's gonna be, and I'm trying to make some real good music that people can cling to, but at the same time it got good content. And like I already talked to O about it, like even certain type of songs, because most conscious people, they use certain type of beats. I'm trying to be very, very creative to try to, slip in and get somebody to hear something. So that's another way that I'm trying to do, and just everything. I'm everything that I've ever done in my life, like I'm gonna try to use it for the purpose of this. Just to make the show more appealing, I'm trying to get back into my graphic design, and that way, because some people are visual. When they see something, they like, oh, man, I like the way that look, and that just draw their attention, So the website, all that stuff, is contributing. So I think we on the right track. I know Brother Yosef got an idea, that's not presented yet, that he want to contribute as well, and we all do our parts for supporting one another as well. Just us three. If it's just us three, it's just us three. We have to do the best we can with the number that we got. But just because we got a small number don't mean that we can't accomplish it, because we can do all things through the Most High. So that's just my take right there. It might take a little longer or whatever, or it'll happen in due season. So that's how I'm looking at it. It starts with us, and then like Brother Shema said, how Martin Luther King, he did it on his own, and then other people start coming along. That's how it's gonna be. I mean, because that's how people do, man. They jump on. A lot of people are bandwagon jumpers. Yep. Habitual bandwagon jumpers. And when you understand people, you understand. Okay, that's how it is. So I gotta get a bandwagon built, people to jump on. So what's that saying? They say if you build it, they will come. So that's what we gotta do. We gotta build it, and they will come. And that's it. I ain't got nothing else.
And just adding to
I will say without. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just adding, man. I agree with him with the music and stuff. I think all of us. I think yourself too. But that's one of the things I'm doing. That's why I'm bringing this. That's the media portion of the. I'm promoting the site right now, y'all. HTO Truth Media. .com, but that's going to be part of the media portion, man, and literature. If any of these guys decide to write any books or anything, I know I am. I got one I'm working on now that'll be coming out. So it's building our community the way that we see it, desire it to be, in alignment with Yah. This is basically how the children of Israel did, the ones of the remnant. They did. They left literature behind for us to know. Literature behind for us to go off of and live our life the way in alignment to the Most High. We're not seeing it a lot today. So we need people like yourself, people like Yedidyah, people like Mercy, and those that want to get out. And Sister Hakma, I remember, I think she went out and she spoke to some youth, to other women, I believe she brought out to us before. We need to do that, and one of my strong points is, like he said, music and just writing. So that literature part is very important. They need to be taught. We need to teach them from our standpoint versus modern westernized standpoint, and that's it.
And you know what? I've been tripping, bro. I'm about you know what? Don't even trip. As far as when it comes down to stuff like this, I ain't even gonna lie to you. This is where my market comes in also. So I'll do some advertising, do some things, and we already got some stuff to put out there and promote. But it's got to be more. I'll say this because it's not gonna be something I'm doing. We just have to be more, and it's me I'm speaking to, but I'm going to put it out there if you understand what I'm saying. we have to be more broadcasting. Everything's about advertising. You know what I mean? Advertising. That's why they put it so much on your Facebook page. That's why you can't scroll without seeing a commercial of somebody's stuff. We have to be commercials for our own stuff. You have to give someone a reason to want to tune in to us Shabbat over what they might already be doing. Because you're taking the time out of someone's busy schedule to say, hey, we're better than what you've been doing. Just basically what you're basically going to say. Because we want you to spend this time with us. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a way better time than whatever you decide you want to do because this is more beneficial. That's what we're saying. So we have to make sure that that's what we are letting people know on a constant basis. This how they brainwash you. You have to literally brainwash people away from the brainwashing they already have just to get someone to actually listen to a little piece of common sense. And if they decide to take that common sense and we've enlightened them and made them feel good about this, then they can go on or stay or whatever it is, and that's a great thing. But the way that the media has been put out has been too much of the other, and we can't expect to bombard inside of media brainwashing without consistency of advertisement, period. It's come a long way, and the website is needed. The YouTube page is needed. I was telling Yedidyah this. I said the Most High has allowed. I was like, Dad, I wish we'd have been on this before, but everything comes in this season, like Yedidyah said. I mean, this conversation me and him had, and I was like, man, if we'd have thought about the YouTube page, we'd have thought about this, if I'd have thought about this back then, about a year ago, man, you know how much far we would have been now. But sometimes he don't give you the information that you need until it's kind of like, oh, yeah, let me see if y'all going to be faithful first. Not that he don't know, but I'm going to give you more after you put in some work. It's not that we sat on our butts and, it's just like bing, 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 ideas coming out of them. And Yedidyah came with an idea. And Shema came with an idea. And then I got an idea. I'm not gonna tell y'all everything. I'm gonna say we even trying to broadcast something. We're trying to broadcast a whole mindset in clothing. All right. I just can't release the details about it because I have to do it the legal way. Okay. This is the part about the high order they did. I have to make sure I do what I do legally, and so I can cover all ends. But that's another way of what's called. And I didn't think of that until, recently, a month ago, whatever it was. And I'm like, man, so that is something that we have to, do as far as collectively, even if it's just us three, but it is something that's kind of like, you know what, I'm tripping, I have to think about the severity of what we're facing. We're facing a society that likes stuff quick, microwave. So all this take time to learn something is not appealing. But that don't mean you can't capture someone and make them be to a long-term learning relationship with you just like they do TV series. Because TV series will get you. And to me, when I'm reading this, it's like, ooh, can't wait till the next show. It ain't that appealing to everybody else because they might not be as interested as I am in it. You know what I mean? But it's neither here nor there. So we just have to be more so, like he said, getting into the graphics. That helps with the feeling. You know what I'm saying? I have to be more. So I'm vocal. So I'm going to have to be more vocal. That's what I do. But there might be more, videos on my end for sure, and promoting of it through videos and stuff like that, just so we can, push it across it. Because also the social media, Facebook will restrict what they let so many people see. That's for real. They said it a long time ago. They was not going to let 100% of your friends see all your posts. Because it started to become overcrowded. I guess we would say server issues. Some people would use it as a conspiracy theory, but in actuality, it cuts down the activity on the server and it makes it easier to manage in a computer way, for real. You can't allow all the information to just be flowing because it puts an overload on your servers. You got to continue to upgrade your servers as you get And since people don't want to really put money into stuff all the time, they might say, hey, if we cut this down, we don't have to. We'll just cipher the information that needs to come through. Maybe it's not specific information because I don't think they might have the manpower to observe every last thing that you put out there right away. But that's why they ask you to trick off and say, hey, look, report this information if you feel like it's whatever. So that's that. So I'm going to wrap up what I'm saying. We got 10 minutes left. So what I will say is it's been a good show. I've got a lot of good information. Sometimes stuff downloaded to even to myself. I love the conversing. We'll be back at another Rush show in 4 weeks. And we're going to converse more. And next week is back to our regular scheduled program, where we'll take a seasonal break. I told you at the end of 2 Kings before we get into Isaiah. Now, no matter how long it takes us to get through Isaiah, we won't have a season break in the middle of the book. And Isaiah's a long book. So we have a season break right before it because we want to make sure that we are very much prepared for Isaiah because it is the salvational of end time. You know, this is the first book that you're going to read about. So I'm going to do a lot to promote this also. And it gives me time to do it. As of right now, you catch me at Yosef Ha-Oregdim on Facebook. You can find His Taught Once Talk Facebook page. And then we have all that, plus, put radio at the end, and you'll find the one that's specifically for the radio station. Also, we have HTO. Well, Shema said it'll be up and running next week, full circle. So I'll let him, when he gets this thing, he could, let you know a little, just brief overcap of that. And when it's full up and running, I'll give my email for it.
Your email address is actually up. Your email is actually ready. Everything is ready with the email. I haven't posted the site is up and running, but I haven't what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? I haven't made it available to be seen. But your email is ready. Also, everything that he mentioned will be on the site. So everything you want to go to, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, it'll be right there. So you could just go to one place and everything will be there to take you to all of them. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Just wanted to throw that in there.
No, go ahead. Keep going and put that information out on what the address is going to be and all that.
Okay. It'll be HTOTruthMedia.com. That'll be the website. HTO stands for, of course, His Taught Once, truthmedia.com. So that's it. And my I told you in the beginning, my email is Shema, SHAMA, @truthmedia.com.
And see, mine is just Yosef with the same ending, HCO, truthmedia.com. So it's under the same website. But just Yosef. I didn't want to make it too long for you.
Yeah, mine is Yedidyah. Same thing. So all of ours mirror each other's. It's just, the first part of the name that we go by. So you got Shema, Yosef. You want to spell that for him, Yosef? Because some people might use the PH.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry. YOSEF. Just like it, just put the F in. Because like I said, a lot of times people would think the PH because we come from America, but I made it very easy phonetically. So spell it just like you would hear it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good, you know what I'm saying? So I'll pass the mic back. My bad.
Yeah, mine is YEDIDYAH. Yedidyah. So, and then the at HTO.
Truth Media. RS3.com.
There you go. And I don't really have no closing
I promise
statement.
I still be getting used to it.
I enjoyed today's show, and I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in.
And I want to say this, that Yedidyah and Shema, they put forth a lot of effort. They put forth a lot in the YouTube pages and the website pages. Please utilize it. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Take a peek at the webpage when it's available. These guys put a lot of effort, and their thought came, and they went forth with the thought. So just support. I would always like support us, but in retrospect, you know what I'm saying, some of this stuff was an individual thought, and they went forth with it and presented it, and we was like, oh, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? Most High didn't actually give me the thought to say do that. He gave it to either Yedidyah or Shema, and they just ran with it. So, you know, please be a part of that. You know what I mean? Just even if you just want to peek in, even if you want to just throw it out there to someone else. It's a lot of hard work that goes into it. That's what I want to say about that. And I don't know if Shema, you had anything else before I close out.
Oh no, yeah, you good. Just shalom.
Okay.
To everyone.
Okay, we had 4 minutes left, and we're just gonna close out. I'm sorry, I haven't been looking at the panel. I didn't know if anybody had pressed 1. If you did have something, please write it down, and or post it in our group, and we will either continue conversations, discussions, or questions, because this is serious to us. So I will be, I could be a part. I love being part of these type of conversations, and it doesn't have to stop because we, have a block of time. We should be trying to discuss how to grow more than just once every 4 weeks, and that is the point that I would love to push forth between our people. All right, I'm going to pray us out. I'll ask somebody to, if y'all keep your minds clear just for a second. I would like to thank you, Father, for allowing us to gather on your set-apart day, allowing us to be able to discuss ways to better in you and through your spirit. I just ask on behalf of anyone that is sincerely trying to grow, that you place all motivation in your spirit and all ideas and knowledge of you into them, and give them confirmation that it is coming from you and that it is undeniable proof of whatever the knowledge is that is coming from you. I thank you for all you've done, even if you do no more. We thank you for being an awesome, most high, awesome, superior king, and we ask that you stay at the forefront of our mind. Amen.